Welcome to the Principal Chronicles. 5 keys to successful leadership that every principal should know. And here are those 5 keys. We're going to be talking a little bit about culture and climate. What is your why? Why should anyone want to follow you? What does an active classroom look like? Progress monitoring, and yes, monitoring the progress, and self-efficacy and collective Chronicles. I am a former principal in Southern California, also a former assistant principal, and now a director in a school district in Southern California. And I kind of want to chat with you if you're a principal or you're thinking about being a principal, just around what happens when you really focus on the culture and the climate of a school district first. Now, when we look at culture and climate, we're really looking at what's the culture that we have in our school district, not just the demographics by ethnicity, but what is the economically disadvantaged group population, what is our English language learner population, and what does the community around us, not necessarily in the school, look like, but outside of the school. And then when we talk about climate, how do our teachers feel when they come to school, our support staff, how do they feel when they come to school? How do parents feel when they walk in the front door? How are they treated? And then especially, how do our students feel? And then the relationships that happen at school. One of the things that you really want to think about when you are a principal at a school site is that if the culture and climate does not come first, you will have a very chaotic experience as a principal. Building relationships is key. So really think about that. And then why will someone follow you? Now, specifically, when you can tell people what your why is, what's the contribution and what's the impact, people will follow you. And then with that contribution and impact, do you look at, again, the culture and the climate of the school? And then I will actually go through those steps in another video. So make sure that you click down and subscribe to the Principal Chronicles. And we'll talk a little bit about that in another video. But really look at why will someone follow you? Can you say that in a sentence or two and tell people if a parent comes into the office and they say, why do you do what you do? And I do what I do because I want to aspire new leaders in education and principals in order to increase their achievement efforts in the classroom, and that we can aspire our students to be academically successful as well. And you should be able to say that within a moment's time. Now, what is happening in the classroom? When we say that, when you, as a principal, when you walk into the classroom, what are you looking for? Are you looking for rights and wrongs? Are you looking for whether or not students are clearly engaged in the learning? Is the teacher engaged in the learning? Are there outcomes that are addressed when you walk into the classroom? And are you specifically looking for tangible things, or are you looking for an experience where students are engaged in what they're learning? Are they talking to each other? Are they collectively communicating with each other? Is the teacher really looking at whether or not students are understanding the concept? Because believe it or not, teachers can actually see a very veteran teacher, an experienced teacher, a teacher that's probably taught 8 to 10 years and has at least 10,000 hours of learning or experience teaching. These are teachers that can immediately notice whether or not a student is learning, and then they can shift while they're learning. So are you looking for that? Or are you looking for like this experience where everybody's quiet and the teacher just stands there? Because stand and deliver in a classroom doesn't work. That means the only expert that's learning in the classroom is the teacher, when the teacher is the only one teaching. Students talking to each other, the teacher engaging with the students, and building relationships where students feel like they can fail forward and not be judged for it, but fail so that they can learn to do something differently. That is an amazing experience in the classroom. And then the other thing that you want to do as a principal, this is imperative. You want to progress monitor with your teachers so that the teachers can progress monitor with the students. That means looking at quantitative data, looking at how they're doing with their assessments, and then looking at qualitative data. That's what you see in the classroom while it's happening. And that was what I was just talking about. What is that? And what are you noticing that's happening? Can you see on a child's face if they're learning or not? That's imperative in the classroom. And then the other piece that sometimes we forget or we don't do at all as principals, monitoring the progress. So students who or teachers that progress monitor, you're looking at the data, you're talking about the data, you're coming together and talking about the data. But then you monitor the progress by looking at the outcomes throughout the school year and at the end of the year, and you're taking that information and seeing what works and what doesn't work. And then you shift to, okay, we know this works, so we want to keep this. This isn't working, so we need to move away from it. And I mean, it could be a product. A product is something you purchase. A product is curriculum. A product is maybe a system, an ed tech tool, and you notice that they're playing with it, they're using it, but it is not increasing the academic achievement of students. So you may want to shift from that. A program is something that you do over time. For example, after school systems where you have a program that you are intervening with maybe literacy or the mathematical practices, something that you're doing over time. For example, we have some schools in the state of California and around the world called dual language immersion schools, where they're integrating a second language. So for example, you could have where they have what's called the 90-10, where in their youngest age, maybe pre-K or kindergarten, they're learning 90% of the time in a second language. It could be Mandarin, it could be Spanish, for example, and then by the time they're in 4th or 5th grade, they will have both languages 50-50. So that is a program that happens over time. Now, again, a product could help support that, but that's a program. For example, a program could be the influence or integrated STEM program, like science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. That is a program that is implemented. Now, you might purchase a product that will help you enhance that. For example, Project Lead the Way, but that is a program that happens over time where you fully integrated. So when I say that, when I talk about progress monitoring, we're looking at what the students are doing right now. What's maybe a moment in time, what you see quantitatively with the numbers, like this student is showing growth over time based on this assessment, and if in whatever the learning was, or maybe you see like a grimace on the child's face, like you can see they don't understand if they can't communicate it, and there's an assumption that students can communicate when they're not learning. They don't always communicate it. You might have to actually see this on their face. And as a principal, you probably should help teachers learn how to notice what's happening in their classroom and their surroundings. And then again, monitoring the progress. Monitoring the progress is to look at whether or not the program is working, whether or not the product is working, whether or not the teaching in the classroom is working. And you can ask teachers, is that working for you? Have you seen growth? Are students excited about the learning? So things like that. That's imperative. So the other thing with that, and let me just go back for a moment, is called self-efficacy and collective efficacy. When a student is learning over time, they build what's called self-efficacy. They have this belief and perception that they're going to be great at it, whatever it is, whether it's science, content, whether it's building something in engineering. That's building their self-efficacy when they have a belief system around it. So let me explain though. If you are a teacher or a principal that says, I wasn't good at math, please keep that. Sometimes keep that unless there's a story behind it. Unless there's but I had a teacher that believed in me and really sat with me so that I could build my self-efficacy and confidence around it. Now, collective efficacy is very important. Collective efficacy means that we are working together as a team in order to improve a community. That means you are talking about student data, maybe as a grade level or as a content subject area. You're looking at, okay, so you did that and it worked. It's not working for me. What are you doing that is helping your students learn chemical equations or the periodic table and understanding the difference between a period and a group? Literally understanding whatever the concept is together and talking about it. Because when we come together, we increase not only our self-efficacy, our abilities, but our collective efficacy. If you are a teacher that has taught for 8 or 10 years, even 7 years, your ability to enhance the newer teacher's ability is a gift. When you show them what you're doing, they don't have to teach like you, but you have a gift to say, "This is what I do, but this is how it works." Maybe they can take it and make it their own, especially when they're a new teacher, for example. If you're a new principal, go and seek conversations with other principals in order to help your self-efficacy and collective efficacy. I was an administrator for 10 years, and the things that I can provide for other principals are different than maybe a new principal providing something. Now, as a new principal, though, you just left the classroom, so you can probably enhance the level of learning in the classroom differently than, say, an experienced principal. But what we all need to do as principals is remember that we have to work together to increase our own collective efficacy, and it is imperative that we go out of our way to continue our professional growth and then bring that professional learning to our school sites, because we hold knowledge. And if we don't offer content to our teachers and then having teachers offer content to other teachers, we will do our school sites a disservice. And just follow me. I would love to chat and share with you my experiences as a principal. Let's have a collective conversation. You can follow me here. You can follow me on Clubhouse, Mina J. Blasey on Clubhouse, or on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Please share a comment, dialogue, and share your experiences as a principal with me. I would love to hear it. Chronicles. I am a former principal in Southern California, also a former assistant